Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the PMP.
Hey, pipe up, Hood Rich.
Happy New Year's. And as you can see, I'm in my new office, the PMP Dome. And guess what? We are back, folks. 2023 is here, and college football has concluded in the full season, and we have our national championship. But I'm going to let HTF Kurt take it away.
I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a very special night of Pigskin Mafia Podcast. I am your host, TJ Riddell. You can call me Riddle McGriddle or whatever the hell you want to call me. But I got to tell you, people thought I was crazy when I made these predictions. People thought I was unwise when I made these decisions. But guess what? Some of those picks I got right, and they were the ones that actually fucking mattered. So thank you guys for doubting me. But but there is some rumors going around that Jim Harbaugh might be leaving Michigan. Pretty big news for Michigan. I think if Jim Harbaugh leaves, Michigan will be in shambles. That would mean Ohio State would bounce right back, and Penn State would actually be in the mix of the Big Ten championship. Because I think a lot of transfers that transferred there would transfer out. I think commitments that committed there would decommit. I mean, it's fucking bonkers thinking about it right now, you know. But I will say this: I really do think that Michigan would falter if they lose Jim Harbaugh, and but there is a lot to talk about here tonight. Starting off with goodness, I'm not getting any good reception on my phone for some reason. All right, so there's a lot to talk about, guys, in the college football world today. We just had some games. We actually had the Rose Bowl conclude in this beautiful night. But I will say this, man. I loved this college football season. I loved every bit of the atmosphere behind. And I will, goodness gracious, this mic. Anyway, I loved every bit of the season. You know, A&M didn't make it to a bowl game. We almost beat Alabama, Texas. TCU's in the national championship, and I'll go over that here in a little while. But just a chaotic season, you know. I loved every bit of that college football season, of this college football season. I'm pretty sure next season's going to be even more wild. I think we're going to see a lot of programs bump up after this season, and I think we are going to see some programs start to falter a little bit. But I am very impressed with a lot of teams that came in to these bowl games and proved me wrong by beating teams that I thought would absolutely destroy them, you know. And there's one perfect example, and I'll go over that here in a little while. But let's talk about the first game that I haven't really talked about. And that was the Guaranteed Rate Bowl between Wisconsin and Oklahoma State. So I picked Oklahoma State to win this game, and no surprise, surprise, they failed me again. They didn't have Spencer Sanders. They actually started as soon as ESPN starts to load, we'll see what happens. But yeah, it was a pretty decent game, like I thought it would be. Wisconsin comes away with a win, 24-17. Uh, Oklahoma State's trending downwards. I think they just lost their starting quarterback to the transfer portal. Rangel started for Oklahoma State. He had 14 completions for 31 attempts, 229 passing yards, and 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Luke Fickell coached his first game with the Badgers, which is very shocking to me. I didn't even know that could even exist. That a head coach hops on what, or that had a prior job in the season, gets to coach in his new team in the same season. I did not know that was a thing, but this kid from Wisconsin, Braylon Allen, actually had a tremendous game. 116 rushing yards with 22 attempts, 1 touchdown in that game. Unbelievable by that kid, and what a win for Wisconsin. So next game I'm going to talk about is a Wednesday game, one of the 2 games. UCF taking on Duke in the Military Bowl. I predicted wrong again. I had UCF winning this game 48-35. I was wrong. Duke ended up winning 30-13. I mean, it was just a complete dominant performance by Duke. They're up 23-7 at the end of the third quarter. So absolutely dominant display by Duke. Oh, excuse me. Leonard, he was just a beast on the ground. 10 carries, 63 yards, and 2 touchdowns for the Blue Devils. He didn't throw a touchdown pass, but he ran 2 touchdown passes or touchdown runs. He completed 19 out of 28 with 173 yards. So he didn't throw a touchdown, but he didn't throw a pick. So good for him. But yeah, Bowser, he did not have a good game, but he did get some touchdowns for UCF. 11 carries, 39 yards, and 2 touchdowns. As UCF is leaving the American Conference to go into the Big 12. I'm not sure how UCF's going to do in the Big 12 just yet. I'm going to have to wait and see the spring game before I give my my way too early picks in the conference standings for the Big 12 or the American Conference or any conference in that matter. And plus, we don't know if Texas and Oklahoma is going to leave yet. They're still in talks with the Big 12, but it looks like they're trying to finalize it to where they are going to the SEC next year. I hope it gets done so that way Texas and Oklahoma can get that exposure to the SEC early. And I think it would be a good experience for Sark and Brent Venables if he has a fucking job by that time. So next game we're going to talk about. This was leading towards one of the greatest comebacks in history, I believe. Arkansas taking on Kansas, battle of 6-6 teams in the AutoZone Liberty Bowl. I had Arkansas winning this game 45-27. It looked like that for a while. Arkansas was dominating in the first half. And then in the fourth quarter, Kansas just explodes. There was a controversial play where an Arkansas player was down, but he fumbled it. But it is what it is. And they went into 3 overtimes, okay? 3 overtimes. So the first overtime, they're allowed to kick an extra point. Second overtime, they have to make a 2-point conversion. They both did. The third overtime is where they just run 2-point conversions until the game's over. But, man, KJ Jefferson is a beast. And so is Jaden Daniels. I mean, Jaden Daniels absolutely put on a fourth quarter that I haven't seen somebody do in quite some time. But KJ Jefferson and the Arkansas Razorbacks come away with the win, 55-53 in overtime. What a shootout and what a attempt at a comeback for Kansas. They had a terrific season. Disappointing ending though. They were 5-0 at the beginning of the season. Then they finished off the regular season with a 1-6 record, and then they lost their bowl game to a very talented Arkansas team, which I was kind of surprised they went 7-6 this season. They had a disappointing season as well, but I will say this about Arkansas: they will look good next season. I can guarantee you that. I really do think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with next season in the SEC West. But again, I will have to see their spring game. I will have to make my analysis, and I will have to see if they'll be good or not. So, same thing with Kansas. I think Kansas is Lance Leipold has done a really good job this season. His first season at Kansas. I look forward to seeing Jaden Daniels come back for Kansas. He actually had over 500 yards in this game passing, 544 with 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but he completed 37 out of 55, which is really good, especially patting those stats. KJ Jefferson, just a beast on the ground as well, 14 carries, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Landers, 3 receptions, 121 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Grime, he had 10 receptions, 167 yards, and 1 touchdown for Kansas. This was a phenomenal game. I felt bad for Kansas, but Arkansas comes away with the win. That gives me a better record. And going forward to the Oregon and North Carolina bowl game where they were playing in the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl. First quarter was tied up at 7, and then North Carolina was up 21-14 at the half. For a moment, it looked like North Carolina was going to win this game. They were up 27-14, and then Bo Nix just had that dog in him, and Oregon comes away with the win, 28-27, and Bo Nix throws a beautiful 6-yard pass with 19 seconds left to win the game by 1 point. Drake May had a really good game. He didn't throw any interceptions. He threw 3 touchdowns, 18 for 35, 206. His receivers kind of dropped the ball, and he was kind of inaccurate at times. But Bo Nix, 23 for 30, 205, 2 touchdowns, and he did throw a pick, but, man, he was accurate. And then Irving for Oregon, 13 carries, 149 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Oregon is a team to watch out for, especially with Bo Nix coming back. Whew. Got me thirsty for a nice cold Dr. Pepper. Sponsor me, Dr. Pepper, please. But no, in all seriousness, Matt Brown in North Carolina is heading in the right direction with Drake May and company. But Oregon, I really do think is a legitimate threat next season. But again, I will have to see it in the spring game. But moving forward to the Texas Tech versus Ole Miss game, I had Texas Tech winning this game. I had Oregon winning in the San Diego County Credit Union Holiday Bowl, by the way. But Texas Tech taking on Ole Miss, and I thought this would be a closer game for the simple fact that I didn't think that, for one, Tyler Show was going to even play in this game. I thought he was going to rest up for next season, but he decided to play. And this guy is a fucking animal, apparently. He torched Ole Miss, and that Ole Miss offense couldn't get anything going against that Texas Tech defense. Texas Tech wins 42-25. I mean, it was a very entertaining game for the most part, but Texas Tech really showed why. Pretty much proved my point about Ole Miss. They really shut them down. And Tyler showed 24 for 39, 242 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Jackson Dart, 25 for 41, 361 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but he threw 3 interceptions. Why they didn't run the ball more was beyond my wildest belief. But Quentin Judkins, he almost had 100 yards in this game, 22 carries, 91 yards, but no touchdown. Heath, he had 8 receptions, 137 yards, and 1 touchdown, and that was his last game as a Rebel. He'll be going to the NFL as well. But Fonzie, man, 7 receptions, 100 yards receiving. I mean, this Texas Tech team was fired up, and they were ready to play, and I got to say it was very classy of Joe McGuire to pay tribute to Mike Leach. He was the one that brought Texas Tech to the map, really. And Joey McGuire coming away with his 8 wins in his first season as the Red Raiders head coach. I see a really good future for Texas Tech in the future Big 12. I really do think that the future Big 12 is going to be really competitive. I look forward to watching the future Big 12, but Ole Miss, y'all better wake up, man. Like, Jackson Dart has to play his best game. If he was a highly recruited guy too, and he has not performed well. I'll be honest with you. I don't think he has performed well. Ole Miss should be a balanced football team, and Jackson Dart has not been that guy for Ole Miss. So if anybody can name me a better quarterback on Ole Miss, let me know, and I will see if I can tell y'all, yeah, he deserves to play. But moving forward to Thursday, the only game that was on Thursday, or actually, I'm wrong. There's 3 games that were on, but we're going to go ahead and talk about the Bad Boy Motors Pinstripe Bowl where Syracuse took on Minnesota. Now, this was a very good game. I had Minnesota winning this game 38-21. They didn't score in the first quarter. No team did, but it looked like Minnesota was going to run away with it in the second quarter until Garrett Schrader ran it in for a touchdown, put it 14-7 at the half. Then it was back and forth. In the third quarter, made it 28-13. Garrett Schrader with a 8-yard run for a touchdown, and then Minnesota just held out and won the game. And the Golden Gophers win their 9th game of the season. PJ Fleck has done a really good job as a Minnesota Gopher head coach. I think he's by far one of the best coaches for Minnesota history. I really do think that Minnesota's got a bright future. But Garrett Schrader, 32 for 51, 330 passing yards. He just couldn't get in the end zone, but he did throw an interception. Ibrahim, 16 carries, 71 yards, 1 touchdown. For him, kind of a slow night for him. But yeah, I look forward to seeing the Golden Gophers actually playing next season. I want to see a little bit more out of Minnesota next season. So next game we're going to talk about is the Cheez-It Bowl, where this game felt like a playoff game. It really did feel like a playoff game, and it was a battle of blue bloods. I will say that right now. It was a battle of blue bloods between Oklahoma and number 13 Florida State. Florida State had a terrific season. Oklahoma had a shit season. But I will say this. Oklahoma came into play, and they were scoring early on Florida State. Florida State came back and ultimately ended up winning the game. But yeah, I mean, Oklahoma was up early, 14-3, and then Jordan Travis throws a beautiful pass to Ontario Wilson for a touchdown, and then they convert a 2-point conversion to make it a 3-score game. And then Oklahoma closes out the first half with a 17-11 lead, and it was just back and forth in the second half. Like, Florida State would score, Oklahoma would score. Florida State scored twice to tie the game and to take the lead at 32-25. Then Oklahoma scores with 3:37 left to play, ties the game at 32. Then Jordan Travis, being the leader that he is for Florida State, leads them down the field, and Ryan Fitzgerald hits a beautiful 32-yard field goal to cap off what was a fantastic game. Florida State comes away with the win, but I got to say, Dylan Gabriel had a pretty good game. 14 for 24, 243 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Barnes, 27 carries, 108 yards rushing, and 1 touchdown. And Mims Jr., I mean, he only had two receptions, but 77 yards. But Jordan Travis, 27 for 38, 418 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Treshaun Ward, 10 carries, 81 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then the big man, Wilson, 8 receptions, 202 receiving yards. This was what... So people that say that bowl games don't matter, they're full of shit. They're stupid. They don't know what they're talking about. This felt like a playoff game. This felt like it was meaningful, especially to Florida State, because this would be their first 10-win season in quite some time. And Oklahoma, this would be their first losing season since 1998, when Bob Stoops first stepped into the picture for Oklahoma. But I will say this right now. Brent Venables has to get something going next season for Oklahoma with the roster that he has. They should not have been 6-7, but they were dog shit this season. I will be brutally honest. They were dog shit. And Florida State, they had a terrific season, and Mike Norvell deserves some recognition in this season. Jordan Travis really stepped up this season for the Noles. I'm happy that the Noles got to 10 wins and got the dub. And let's move forward to the next game, which, okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this game pissed me the fuck off. Number 20 Texas taking on number 12 Washington in the Valero Alamo Bowl, where it was majority Texas fans at the Alamo Bowl, okay? You'd think it would be home field advantage for Texas. I mean, the first half, Michael Penix Jr. struggled against that defense. But why the fuck is Xavier Worthy dropping passes? Offense can't get anything going on the run. Why did we go away from the script, Sark? Why did we go away from the script? I understand Quinn had a phenomenal game against Washington, but when you got a guy like Xavier Worthy dropping passes, not going for the ball, and I'm being brutally honest here, I love Xavier Worthy. I love his talent, but the way he plays is pitiful as of late. He looks like he just doesn't give a shit out there, and Quinn Ewers, and everybody gives Quinn Ewers shit. Like, are you fucking kidding me? I've been pointing this shit out since, I don't know, the Oklahoma State game, maybe the Iowa State game, where I was like, something's wrong with X. And then I was like, he could have caught that ball. And then he dropped that pass. It's been the story of my life with Xavier Worthy this season. But I mean, Quinn Ewers had 31 for 47, 369 passing yards, 1 touchdown passing. But why didn't we give more carries to Keelan Robinson and Jonathan Brooks? More importantly, Jonathan Brooks. And now Jaden Blue is kind of wondering if he's going to ever play. I mean, I don't fucking blame him for transferring. And I will be honest here. Before the game where Sark yelled at that guy for touching him, he had every right to fucking yell at his fucking face. We have soft-ass pussies out here that want to say, well, Sark, he's classless. He's back on the liquor again. Shut the fuck up. Just shut up. How would you feel if a man, if another grown-ass man were to come up and push you on your fucking man tits, okay? And you're staring at him like, dude, what the fuck? Sark actually stood up for himself and told him, hey, motherfucker, don't touch me again. That is a real man right there. That is what you need to do. But I was very disappointed in the way the offense played in this game. Rushing offense was pitiful. Xavier Worthy dropping passes. I mean, he had quite a few catches, but he had a lot of drop passes. I mean, he was targeted a lot in this game. And a lot of people want to blame Quinn Ewers. Well, y'all are fucking stupid. And I'm talking about the fan base. Stop blaming fucking Quinn Ewers. Blame the fucking team. Blame the guys that are trying to fucking catch the ball or attempt to catch the ball and drop it and then don't even attempt the fucking ball. Yeah, Xavier Worthy, you pissed me off in that game tremendously. Casey Kane, though, 4 receptions, 108 yards. He played good. I love to see him in the future. But Michael Penix Jr. in the second half torched our secondary. But he didn't go over 300 yards, so I'm happy about that. I'm happy with the way our defense played except for the run. Our interior run defense was pitiful. Like, Talapapa should have not gotten 100 yards in this game. At most, 45. He should have gotten 45. But we did not come to play. It just seemed like we didn't give a shit about this bowl game. Washington was the better team. And I hate to take it away from Washington, but Texas looked like they did not want to fucking play. But Washington did what they were supposed to do in the second half. They were up 10-3 or 13-3 at the half. But Talapapa had 108 yards rushing, 14 carries, 1 touchdown. McMillan had a pretty decent game. He also had some drop passes, 8 receptions, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. Michael Penix Jr., 32 for 54, 287 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. That was my rant for the night for Texas. We did improve this season. We went 8-5. 3 games better than last season. I'm happy about that. We could have played better against Oklahoma State, against Texas Tech, against TCU. TCU, I think, was a legitimate opponent, but I think we could have won that game. Alabama, we could have won that game too. It just blows my fucking mind that we play into that mediocre card. I just don't get it. I don't get it. So I'm done with that game. Washington comes away with the win, and I predicted wrong in that game, and I predicted Florida State over Oklahoma, Minnesota over Syracuse. So that made me 2-1 on Thursday. Friday's games where Maryland took on NC State. Now, this was a very close game. I thought Maryland would run away with this one with a 42-28 win, but it was a very tightly contested battle. Talia Tagovailoa threw 2 interceptions, 1 touchdown, 19 for 37, 221 yards. Finley threw 22 for 48, 269 passing yards, 2 interceptions. This was an ugly game offensively, but defensively, I love defensive battles. I do. But Maryland comes away with the win, 16-12. Talia Tagovailoa throws a 19-yard pass to Octavian Smith Jr. to make it 10-3, and that was the only touchdown in the game. It was just nothing but field goals. Great defensive battle. I'm glad that Maryland won over NC State, but very, very good game for sure. And that puts both teams at 8-5. Next game I'm going to talk about is Pittsburgh and UCLA and the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl. I had UCLA winning this game 49-28. But, man, what a fucking game. Pittsburgh was a lot better than I thought, and a lot better than what people thought. But DTR had probably the worst game of his season, throwing 3 interceptions, 16 for 24, still pretty accurate. 271 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did throw 3 interceptions. So 3 of those 8 incompletions were interceptions for DTR. Harden had 11 carries, 111 yards, and 1 touchdown. Brown had 4 receptions and 115 yards for the Bruins. Now for the Pittsburgh Panthers side, Patty had 20 for 41, 224 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. The reason why we have Patty at quarterback instead of King Slovis is because he transferred to BYU. Hammond Jr. had 25 carries, 93 yards, 2 touchdowns, and Means had 4 receptions, 84 yards, and 1 touchdown. And Pitt comes away with the victory, 37-35 on a late field goal to win the game. Both teams go to 9-4. We're probably going to see some improvement on both sides. Next game we're going to talk about is Notre Dame taking on South Carolina. I thought this would be a low-scoring affair. I didn't think Spencer Sanders or Spencer Rattler would do anything good, or Buckner would do anything surprising in this game. But this turned out to be a fucking shootout. I picked Notre Dame to win 24-14. They ended up winning 45-38. Man, what a fucking game. And Buckner had 18 for 33, 274 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Spencer Rattler had 29 for 46, 246 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Stemi had 14 carries, 95 yards. Lindsey had 4 receptions, 89 yards, and 1 touchdown for the Fighting Irish. Now for the Gamecocks, 6 carries, 28 yards, and then Leggett had 7 receptions, 78 yards, and 2 touchdowns. What a spectacular game this was. Notre Dame had a tremendous turnaround season after an 0-3 start. After losing to Marshall, they woke up and turned into an animal. Barely losing to USC, and they come away with a big victory over a resurging South Carolina team that I really do think is going to be a pretty good team next season. So we'll see how that goes for the Gamecocks. But good win for the Fighting Irish. And that was my 32nd bowl game that I have covered. And we're almost done, folks. Almost at number 40, folks. So we got 8 more games to talk about. But we're going to talk about Ohio taking on Wyoming. We're still on the Friday games. I had Ohio winning in a very close game, 35-32. They ended up winning in overtime, 30-27. So I was right about the spread. I thought they were going to win by 3, and they did. Ohio had a very good team this season, and Wyoming did as well. So they played in the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. Pardon me, real quick, as I drink my Dr. Pepper. This was a fun game to watch. I said this would be a fun game to watch, and it was freaking tastic to watch this game. I was really impressed with both teams. Starting off with Wyoming with Jordan Vaughn with a 17-yard run, putting the Cowboys up 7-0. It was actually a really fast-paced, high score, or not high scoring, but it was a high scoring first quarter with a 14-8 start. Then both defenses settled down to where both teams kicked a field goal to where it was 17-11 at the half. And then Ohio scores to make it 18-17. And it was just back and forth going into it. And then in overtime, or actually Ohio kicked a field goal right before the end of regulation. So 24-24, they go into overtime. John Hoyland kicks a 29-yard field goal to make it 27-24. Then Tyler Foster catches a 10-yard pass from C.J. Harris, and the Bobcats of Ohio win their 10th game of the season. And C.J. Harris, man, he had a terrific game. 20 for 33. Not many yards, 184 yards, but 2 touchdowns. But Bengira, 25 carries, 138 rushing yards, 1 touchdown. And then you got Jones for Ohio, 3 receptions, 44 yards, 1 touchdown. Beasley, 18 for 30, 186 passing yards, so only 2 yards above C.J. Harris. Excuse me. 1 touchdown, 1 interception for the young man out of Wyoming. Vaughn, 16 carries, 67 yards, 2 touchdowns. Welch, 5 receptions, 91 yards, and 1 touchdown. And I gotta say, Barstool did a really good job with this game. They had a phenomenal broadcast with Brandon Walker, Casey Smith, and all these other guys. Caleb Presley interviewing the fans. And I mean, this was a fun fucking bowl game. We need bowl games like Barstool more often. We need a Pat McAfee bowl game where they have no limits. They just do what Barstool just did, and they did it successfully. You know, how do you make a game like Ohio and Wyoming? I know it doesn't sound appealing, but how do you make it appeal? Put Barstool in front of it, and I guarantee you, everybody will go to that game, and they damn sure did. That game was so fun to watch, and the broadcast with Barstool was amazing. I couldn't be more happy that Barstool represented the Arizona Bowl for Ohio and Wyoming, and it's a good way to showcase the players in the MAC and the Mountain West Conference. And this would be the last Group of 5 versus Group of 5 matchup. But we're moving on to Tennessee taking on Clemson in the Orange Bowl. The ironic bowl game of the year. Goodness, I had to stretch for a second. Number 6 Tennessee taking on number 7 Clemson. To me, I had Clemson winning a very close shootout type of game, 38-31. I was wrong about that. Cade Klubnik was supposed to have a good game for me. I was wrong about that. Joe Milton came in and did what Hendon Hooker did to SEC teams and perfected it as well. Tennessee wins 31-14. It was just a complete dominant performance by Tennessee. They pretty much controlled the game. They're up 21-6 at one point, and then it looked like Clemson was going to bounce back, but then Tennessee just kept rolling, But Joe Milton, the third, 19 for 28, 251 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Cade Klubnik, 30 for 54, 320 yards passing, 2 interceptions. That's why I said he didn't do what I thought he was going to do in this game. I thought he would be able to outperform Joe Milton in this game, but man, 2 interceptions will hurt you. Wright, 11 carries, 89 yards. Rushing, Will Shipley, 17 carries, 72 yards. The workhorse of Clemson is what I call him. White with 9 receptions, 108 receiving yards, 1 touchdown. Nagata, 8 receptions, 84 yards. Clemson just got whooped in this game. They, for real, got their asses kicked by Tennessee. But good win for Tennessee. I really do think they're going to be a top contender next season for the SEC championship race. So look out for Tennessee. And for Clemson, they're young. They'll build up. Cade Klubnik's on the same page as Quinn Ewers right now. He's a freshman. They'll build up, and they'll be all right. So I have a good feeling for Cade Klubnik. He's going to be a phenomenal athlete. I really do think so. It's hit or miss with him this season because he's a freshman, just like Quinn Ewers. But I think that Cade Klubnik could be a potential Heisman in the future. I'm not saying next year. It could be the year after. It could be if he decides to stay in college football for his senior year. But I really do think that Cade Klubnik can be that guy, But we're going to move on to Saturday's bowl games. We're not going to talk about the semifinals just yet. I'm going to hold off on that until the end. But we're going to talk about the rest of the bowl games before we get to the semifinals. So, number 5, Alabama taking on number 9, Kansas State. I thought Kansas State was going to win this game by 5. I didn't care if Bryce Young or Will Anderson was going to be in this game. I just thought with all the transfers being gone, Alabama was going to struggle. But boy, was I wrong. 45-20. Bama fans, I am sorry. I am sorry I doubted Nick Saban. I'm sorry I doubted Bryce Young. I'm sorry I doubted Will Anderson. And I'm sorry. I am sorry that I doubted Alabama in this game. I will say Kansas State put up a good fight in the first quarter, and then Alabama just took off like a country girl in a concert, Alabama looked like the Alabama that was supposed to be playing this season. They looked like a playoff team in that game. Now, did they deserve to be in the playoffs? Hell no. After losing to LSU, after losing to Tennessee, losing to LSU the way they lost, or losing to an LSU team that lost to Texas A&M, I don't think you deserve to be in. That alone tells me you don't deserve to be in. But I will say this. Alabama came in with a mindset that if they want to transfer, they can transfer. Go fuck themselves. Because we got our luggage here. We got the guys that are actually committed. And they fucking did it. They absolutely put a ass whooping on the Kansas State Wildcats. I I think Kansas State's a good football program right now. I think they're going to be a phenomenal team next year. Alabama, that's going to be a team to watch out for next season, especially in the SEC West. I think they're going to be the team to represent the SEC West in the conference championship. Now, whether they face Georgia or Tennessee, I don't know. But I do think that Alabama is the team to beat next season for the SEC West. But here's the reason why I say just the SEC West. Because there is a parity right now going on in the SEC right now. Georgia's the top dog. Then you got this year LSU. Then you got Alabama. Then you got Tennessee, which really I think it should be Tennessee, Alabama, and then LSU. But, I mean, this was a good win for Bryce Young. His last game, he had 15 for 21, 321 passing yards, and 5 touchdowns in this game. Will Howard just could not get anything going on offense. 18 for 35, 210 passing yards, 2 interceptions. Jahmyr Gibbs, 15 carries, 76 yards in his last season with the Alabama Crimson Tide. He will also go into the NFL draft. Deuce Vaughn, 22 carries, 133 rushing yards, 1 touchdown for that guy. He had an 88-yard banger to start off the game, or really to end pretty much close out the first quarter, or close to being close out the first quarter with a 10-0 lead for Kansas State. But after that, Alabama just started going. Nick Saban is still the Nick Saban that we all know and hate to love or love to hate, but I mean, this guy, this guy is the best coach in all of college football. I will say that right now. He is the best coach in college football. And Alabama fans, yes, they are spoiled. Yes, they think they deserve to be in the playoffs. But they should be glad that they have a guy like Nick Saban. Yeah, 2 seasons is unacceptable, or two losses in the season is unacceptable. But when you have a performance in a bowl game like this tells me that Alabama's future, the stock is rising again. I mean, they just got the number 1 recruiting class in front of Georgia and Texas, so I think they have a bright future. I really do think so. Do I think they're going to make it to the college football playoff? I don't know yet. We'll see who the next QB is for Alabama, see how he does. We'll see who the next edge rusher is for Alabama. We'll see how he does. But for Kansas State, I take this loss as a learning curve that we need to perform better. We need to recruit better. But Kansas State should not hold their heads down. This is an Alabama team that was destined to be a national prominent team this season that turned out to be a New Year's Six Bowl team. So, and this was in the All-State Sugar Bowl. So, good win for Alabama. Very impressive win by Alabama. Now, this next game, this is the Trans-Perfect Music City Bowl, where we got Iowa taking on Kentucky. I had Kentucky winning 31-21. I got Iowa's score right. Kentucky got blanked in this game by Iowa. And Will Levis sat out in this game. I didn't know until last minute. And Iowa ended up winning this game 21-0. When you lose to Iowa, I don't know how the fuck they got 8 wins this season. I really don't know. It's the defense for certain, because their offense is fucking pitiful. And what I'm seeing right now, despite Iowa's 2 pick sixes, this game would have been 7-0. This fucking offense sucks. So this just means Kentucky's offense is worse. This just means Kentucky's offense is way worse than Iowa's. And Peters didn't even play in this game. Levis didn't even play in this game, but Labas, 14 for 24, 139 passing yards, 1 touchdown. Patterson, 4 carries, 23 yards. Laporta, 5 receptions, 56 yards for the Hawkeyes. Now for the Wildcats, Wade, 18 for 30, 98 passing yards, 2 interceptions. And McLean, 10 carries, 40 yards. Key, 6 receptions, 47 yards. This game was dog shit. One of the reasons why people don't like to watch bowl games is because of games like this, where it's just nothing but one quarter of scores and that's it, and 2 pick sixes and only 1 offensive touchdown. Yeah, 2 dog shit teams. I guess good win for Iowa. Defense, they deserve kudos. Offense for Iowa sucks, so I don't think they deserve anything. But good for you, I guess. But now we're going to get into today's games, where we had in the Relinquist Bowl, where Mike Leach's team took the field. They did a nice tribute to their coach. Not only did they do the air raid delay of game tribute, but Mississippi State also had a fucking awesome decal of a pirate flag with the initials ML on there. Because his nickname was the Pirate, folks. So Mississippi State came in at 8-4, and so did Illinois. Both teams played very great football in this game, and it was 7-3 at the half. But Mississippi State exploded in the fourth quarter. Will Rogers and company win 19-10. Marcus Banks recovered a 60-yard fumble and returned it for a touchdown to close the game out. And man, what a fucking game this was. I was actually watching it quite a bit. And sorry for stretching so much. Enjoy my baldness, which I will get that fixed. Will Rogers threw 29 for 44, 261 passing yards, 1 touchdown. He did throw 2 interceptions, but I love this kid. He has a big heart, and he is awesome to watch. And Tommy DeVito, 23 for 34, 253 passing yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions for him. Price for Mississippi State, 7 carries, 68 rushing yards. Love the third, 12 carries, 53 yards for the Fighting Illini. Robinson was seven receptions, 81 yards, and the sole touchdown for the Mississippi State offense. And then Williams for Illinois, 9 receptions, 114 yards. And Tommy DeVito did have a touchdown run, and that was the only touchdown for Illinois. But like I said, I thought Mississippi State was going to come out and play with their hearts and their emotions because Mike Leach meant a lot to those kids, and rightfully so. And I knew Illinois was going to bring the heat too. They weren't just going to let Mississippi State win because of Mike Leach's death. They were still going to play their ball game, you know. But at the end of the day, Mississippi State ended up winning a very good game. I couldn't be more happy for Mississippi State fighting through adversity the way they just did. Losing a head coach, I couldn't imagine that, especially a head coach that has meant a lot to those kids in Mississippi State in Starkville and what he's done for that football program. So hats off to those kids, and hats off to Illinois for showing respect and actually putting up a fight with Mississippi State. I'm pretty sure Mike Leach would have wanted Mississippi State to play a very tough game anyway. So good win for Mississippi State, 19-10 in the Real Bowl. Now, this game should be highlighted. This game I predicted so bad. I deserve nothing but slander after this game. The Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, which was a phenomenal game. Number 16 Tulane taking on number 10 USC. Okay. I thought this game was going to be a fucking blowout. I thought USC was going to run through them like diarrhea on a Tuesday night for Taco Tuesday. They were up 14-0 in the second quarter. Then this is when Tulane started to fight back. Then they tied the game at 14 apiece. Then USC came back with 2 more touchdowns to make it 28-14 at the half. And then again, Tulane scores, makes it 28-21, kicks a field goal, 28-24. Then USC scores 35-24. And then fucking Tyjae Spears again scores his 3rd rushing touchdown of the game, 35-30 in this game. Then we get into the 4th quarter. USC scores back-to-back touchdowns to make it 45-30. Then, mark this, with 4:07 left to play, Tyree Spears scores his 4th touchdown of the game, 4-yard run, and then they ended up with a safety. They ended up with a safety, making it 45-39. Then with 9 fucking seconds left to play, Michael Pratt comes out of nowhere, throws a beautiful 6-yard pass to Alex Bowman. At first, they called it an incompletion. Heart stopped. Fans dropped. And the booty cheeks are clapping. Because then they did a booth review, and the fucking Green Wave score 46-45. The Green Wave proved me wrong, proved the doubters wrong. They absolutely shocked the fucking college football world and win the Cotton Bowl Classic 46-45. The Green Wave have done it. Now, the player of the game has to be Tyjae Spears with 4 rushing touchdowns, 205 rushing yards with 17 carries. Phenomenal. Michael Pratt, 8 for 17, 234 passing yards with the game-winning touchdown. Excuse me, by the way. And threw for 2 touchdowns. But Caleb Williams did throw 5 touchdowns, which set a Cotton Bowl Classic record. 37 for 52, 462 passing yards, 1 interception. I did think that he was going to throw a lot in this game, and he was going to be able to absolutely torch this defense. But Brown with 6 carries, 61 yards, and 1 touchdown. This kid right here, Jaquan Jackson, 1 reception, 87 yards, and 1 touchdown. A banger of a touchdown by that kid. And then Rice, Jerry Rice's son, actually. 6 receptions, 174 yards, 2 touchdowns. I am impressed with this matchup. This was by far the most, probably the most Shit, I can't even think right now because I cannot believe Tulane beat USC. I still cannot believe it. You know, Tulane beat Kansas State. Oh, well, that's fine. But they actually beat USC. Is it time that we bring Tulane into the CFP conversation for the 12-team playoff? So I really enjoyed Tulane, and they had the biggest turnaround I have ever seen, going from 2-10 last season to 12-2. Unbelievable season. American Conference champions, now Cotton Bowl Classic champions. Congratulations to the Tulane Green Wave, and tough loss for the Heisman Trophy winner and his teammates. But now we'll get into this game. I thought this would be a lot closer. Oh, man, I thought this would be a lot closer, especially with Drew Brees as the quarterback or assistant coach over there for this bowl game. LSU put a fucking ass whooping on Purdue. I did pick LSU to win 28-16, but I didn't expect them to put 60 burgers on Purdue and just hold them to 7 points. I knew their defense was going to play good. I didn't expect their offense to fucking show up. So Nussmeier came in for Jalen Daniels, 11 for 15, 173 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Oh, by the way, the final score was 63-7, just in case you were wondering. Burton, 12 for 24, 74 yards, and 1 interception. Maccabee, 13 carries, 48 yards. Jalen Daniels, he came in earlier, had 6 carries and 67 yards. He aggravated an ankle injury that he had against Texas A&M. Neighbors had a fantastic game, 9 receptions, 163 yards, 1 touchdown. Sheffield had 7 receptions, 56 yards, and 1 touchdown. Woo! Brian Kelly comes off with a good first year, 10 wins for LSU. Pretty much a bounce around season for LSU. Purdue with a very disappointing loss. And wow. I got no other words to say but wow. But this next game, we got our last bowl game, and then we'll talk about the semifinals. We got number 11, Penn State, taking on number 8, Utah. I had Utah winning this game 45-27. I thought Utah's offense with Cam Rising was going to play excellent in this game, but it was a very competitive first half, and then Penn State kind of ran away with it in the fourth quarter, as the score was 21-14 in the third, and then in the fourth quarter, Penn State scored 2 more touchdowns after that with a beautiful pass by Sean Clifford to Keandre Lambert-Smith for an 88-yard pass, and that would set them up with a 28-14 lead. Then Katron Allen, phenomenal kid, 1-yard run for a touchdown, made it 35-14. Utah ends up scoring with 25 seconds left to play, making it 35-21. Penn State wins the Rose Bowl. Good game for Sean Clifford and company. 16 for 22, 279 passing yards, 2 touchdowns. Nicholas Singleton, 7 carries, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game. Keandre Lambert-Smith, 3 receptions, 124 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown for him. Now, Cam Rising didn't play in this game. I thought Cam Rising was going to be able to play this game, but he didn't play in this game. Barnes threw 10 for 19, 112 yards, 1 touchdown and 1 interception. Jaquindon Jackson, who was a quarterback, now has converted into a running back. 13 carries, 81 yards, 1 touchdown for him. And Vele, 5 receptions, 100 yards for him. But, man, what a butt whooping that the Nittany Lions put on Utah. I'm very impressed with the way Penn State played. And, good game, Penn State. Actually, golf clap to that. But now, I am going to talk about the college football playoffs. Now, I'm going to start off with this game. TCU, who is 12-1, lost their conference championship game, squares off against a 13-0, heavily favored Michigan Wolverines team. I said that TCU was going to win 38-35 in this game. And, everybody was looking at me like, are you fucking serious, TJ? You think TCU can beat Michigan? You really think Michigan is going to lose to TCU? And you really think that TCU is going to the national championship? Alabama deserves that spot over TCU. Well, I'm telling you right now, y'all guys better shut up because I'm right. TCU wins 51-45, and they controlled Michigan in this game, not allowing a single lead for Michigan. Okay? They were close. They were close to having Michigan or giving Michigan some momentum late in the fourth quarter with a beautiful run by Roman Wilson, 18 yards for a touchdown. And then Michigan converts the 2-point conversion with J.J. McCarthy throwing it to Ronnie Bell. And then what sealed the game for me was Quentin Johnston throwing or catching that 76-yard reception for a touchdown. And Griffin Cowell kicking a field goal, making it 51-38. And then Roman Wilson catches a 5-yard pass for a touchdown from J.J. McCarthy. But the first half, 21-6, TCU. I fucking told everybody TCU was pissed off that they lost to Kansas State. Michigan had a weakness against Purdue. Michigan got exposed by Purdue, and TCU exploited it and perfected it. They did not allow a single lead. And Max Duggan, 14 for 29, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns, but he did throw 2 interceptions. DeMercado, even though he fumbled, a very crucial fumble, 17 carries, 150 yards rushing, 1 touchdown. And Quentin Johnston, a Temple Wildcat, who's now going to the national championship with Jared Wiley, also a Temple Wildcat, 6 receptions, 163 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown for Quentin Johnston. This motherfucker here is a legit receiver, man. And I'm sorry, J.J. McCarthy. What were you saying about 3-3-5? You would be able to run all over TCU and that Big 12 defense? I'm sorry, J.J. McCarthy. What did you say about that? First half, y'all got to shut the fuck out. But J.J. McCarthy, 20 for 34, 343 passing yards, 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. So pretty same numbers for Duggan and McCarthy except for passing yards and attempts. So McCarthy threw 2 pick sixes in this game. That was part of the reason why TC won. Their defense played fucking good. And Donovan Edwards, 22 carries, 119 yards rushing. He had a pretty decent performance. He didn't score any. Ronnie Bell, though, 6 receptions, 135 yards, and 1 touchdown. He's a legit receiver. Now, for all you Michigan fans crying about, well, Roman Wilson was down, or Roman Wilson was in the end zone when he had possession. No, the fuck he didn't. He had possession when his ass was right before the goal line, okay? And y'all had missed opportunities in that game. And what the fuck was that with the Philly special on that fourth down play? And I'm serious when I say Michigan's in trouble when Jim Harbaugh leaves. And it looks like reports are saying that Jim Harbaugh is looking to be in the NFL next season. Man, it just makes me happy that I'm right about TCU. I am right again about the underdog. And y'all want to call me a fucking idiot. Y'all want to test my knowledge. And guess what? I fucking provided facts. TCU came out, hit them in the fucking mouth like nobody else did in the Big Ten. They had a better strength of schedule like nobody in the Big Ten does. And there's better defenses in the Big 12 than the Big 10. And it amazes me how toxic college football fans can be. I am a very toxic college football fan. But with facts. But when you come in and you say Michigan is going to dominate TCU, Michigan's going to run all over that 3-3-5. What the fuck are you talking about? The 3-3-5 is basically a well-balanced defense, first of all. You can run disguised blitzes in a 3-3-5. You can run twists. You can run stunts. You can do just about anything in a 3-3-5. Just as much as you can run a 4-3. And J.J. McCarthy shot himself in the foot by even saying that. As soon as he fucking said that, I knew Michigan was going to go and lose this game. Because he had to be cocky and arrogant. And I'm sorry, when you lose a game, take it in with pride. Take it in that you lost to a better team. That shit that he pulled in the press conference where he answered that one question and walked off like a little bitch. I don't want that on my NFL team. I'm just saying. I mean, he's got to take it up to the chin. Michigan got outcoached, outplayed, and y'all want to talk about the refs? I really do think that was one of the best officiating games of the season. The majority of the fans were saying, and I'm talking about every college football fan that hates on TCU, hates on Texas teams, they want to point out that, man, this officiating crew sucks. 4-row Ohio State. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? Michigan went for it on fourth down with a fucking Philly special. They fumbled the ball at the goal line. And they threw 2 pick sixes. And y'all want to blame the refs for y'all's losses? Get the fuck out of here. And then y'all want to cry about that should have been a touchdown? No, it shouldn't have. No, it shouldn't have. I could tell you right now, he did not have, or he had possession right before he went into the end zone. And that was a good call. So shut the fuck up and learn how to take it out. Because apparently y'all like to lose in bowl games and in the college football playoff anyway. Y'all like to choke in the postseason anyway. So y'all shut the fuck up. And congratulations to TCU. First national championship since 1938. An opportunity at a first title since 1938. I look forward to seeing TCU in this next matchup. But let's talk about this next matchup here. Georgia, number 1 Georgia, undefeated Georgia, who everybody thinks that Georgia is unstoppable. They had one close scare against Missouri, and they will be taking on Ohio State. Number 4, Ohio State. A lot of people didn't think Ohio State didn't deserve this spot. I was kind of iffy on it. I was like, maybe. They only had one loss, so kind of makes sense, you know. I mean, who else would be at that number 4 spot? I would have put in Tennessee there. But I will say this. This was by far the best game of the season, I think. Uh, just the hype and the drama behind it. I had Georgia winning big in this one, 38-21. I just didn't think Ohio State could cut it. But boy, was I wrong. Ohio State fought their fucking asses off in this game, and they deserve a lot of credit. They deserved to be in that playoff after seeing that performance. Marvin Harrison Jr., man, if he could go pro, he would be an excellent wide receiver. I think he's going to be better than his dad. I legitimately think that. But this game was awesome. But I will say this. This was back and forth between Georgia and Ohio State in the first half, making it 28-24. Ohio State on top with a 37-yard pass from C.J. Stroud to Xavier Johnson. This was a phenomenal first half. And Ohio State was up 28-24. Then Ohio State started to gain some momentum. They started to gain the stretch, making it 38-24 in the third quarter. So Georgia had to come up with a plan that they were going to have to come back and win this game. Well, they get a field goal, makes it 38-27. They stop Ohio State to make it a punt, and then Adrian Smith gets a 76-yard reception from Stetson Bennett, and that'll be a huge touchdown for Georgia. And then Stetson Bennett to Lad McConkey for a 2-point conversion to make it 38-35, to make it a 3-score game. Then Noah Ruggles kicks a 48-yard field goal to make it 41-35. And then Georgia, man, what a drive this was. And Stetson Bennett deserves a lot of credit for this drive, but he throws a beautiful 10-yard pass to Adonai Mitchell for a touchdown, makes it 42-41. Now, they left a lot of time on the clock for C.J. Stroud. They were driving. The game is on the line. National championship spot on the line. No Ruggles. There's no wind inside of Mercedes-Benz Stadium. But anyway, so Noah Ruggles is getting ready to kick this long field goal. I forgot how far it was, but this was pretty far. But I'm pretty sure he's the best kicker in the country, and he can make it. He shaked it right as the ball dropped, made it New Year's. Ohio State loses to a shanked field goal, and Noah Ruggles has to be the sickest man in America right now because Georgia is back in the national championship. And I cracked my voice. I am so sorry about that. Georgia is back in the national title to take on number 3 TCU in LA in the national championship at SoFi Stadium. 42-41, the Bulldogs win it. C.J. Stroud, 23 for 34, 348 yards, 4 touchdowns. Stetson Bennett, 23 for 34. Same numbers, actually. But Stetson Bennett threw more yards, 398 yards, passing, 3 touchdowns, and he did throw an interception. Hayden for Ohio State, 9 carries, 43 yards. McIntosh, 5 carries, 70 yards. Egbuka, 8 receptions, 112 yards, 1 touchdown. And Arian Smith with 3 receptions, 129 receiving yards, and 1 touchdown. I got to say, I loved this game right here. I was shocked when he shanked that field goal. I picked Georgia to win, but I wanted Ohio State to win so that way we could have a 3 versus 4 national championship. That would have been an interesting matchup. But I like this matchup between number 1 Georgia and number 3 TCU. I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup. I'm not going to make my prediction tonight for obvious reasons. It's already over an hour. But I will go through this game probably in the next couple of days or so. But I will say this. I will say this right now. Georgia's defense better be prepared. Because the way they got exposed by Ohio State, TCU and Sonny Dykes and Hypnotoad will exploit that shit. Now, Georgia's a phenomenal football team. And it might be a stretch if you pick TCU over Georgia. But I haven't made my pick yet. I still have to do my analysis. I am still on the fence on who should I pick. A lot is on the line here, folks, because Georgia can make history for the first time since the 2011-2012 Alabama teams. They can win back-to-back national championships. But if TCU wins, this will be their first national championship since 1938. You know, this is a historic matchup. This is a matchup that everybody wants to see. A matchup that everyone wanted to see. A team that has a really tremendous Cinderella story. And this would be the first time a national championship team or a team that's won a national championship since Georgia that has been unranked in the preseason polls since Georgia Tech in 1990. You know, and I am very happy for TCU. They deserve everything that they have that they are getting right now. A lot of respect for them. Georgia, I have a lot of respect for their team as well. Fan base, not as much because they just are illiterate. They don't know what being a good game manager really is. Apparently, because I said that to a Georgia fan and they got butthurt about it. And then on Twitter, I shout out to Matt B. Great. He's a great YouTube content creator for college football. Go follow him on his YouTube channel and follow him on Twitter. That guy is hilarious. He's an Alabama fan, but he's realistic like I am. So I like his takes. A lot of his takes. He said the same thing I said. TC was going to come in and punch Michigan in the mouth, and I would love to have him on the PMP at some point. You know, and there'll be a time where I talk to him at some point, and it might be right before the Alabama and Texas game where I have him on here, and we kind of bicker at each other about Texas and Alabama. But he is a very, very resourceful guy. He has a lot of good resources, especially in the Alabama field. He has a lot of good takes. I respect a lot of his takes, you know, and but me and him predicted this matchup, but I'm excited to see what he has to say. I'm excited to what I have to say about this matchup. I don't think I'll go live for this prediction. I don't know yet. If I do go live, it's going to be an hour long of me just talking about both teams and their schedules, the strength of their schedules. It's going to be a tough one to call. I like both these teams in this matchup. I love this matchup. It is one of the first times that we see a college football playoff that we don't see the same two teams every year. Yeah, we're seeing Georgia for a second time in a row, but it's against an opponent that nobody thought would be in and nobody gave respect to. I am so happy about this season. And actually, I do want to do something real quick, you know, and I'm going to count out my win-loss record for the bowl season for all 40 bowl games right now. So the first two, I went 1-1. This Saturday I went 3-4, which is going to be 4-5. Then Monday I went 1-0, which is going to be 5-5. Tuesday I went 1-1, 6-6. Wednesday I went 6-7, then 6-8. Then I had 2 wins in a row, so I made it to 8-8 in the first 16 games. So average. Then Saturday went 8-9. Monday I went 9-9. Then I went to 10-10 on Tuesday, or actually 11-11 on Tuesday. Wednesday the 28th I went 11-12. Then I went 14-12 or 14-13 on the 28th. Then Thursday I went 16-14 after Texas got whooped by Washington, and I have the right to say that. Friday I went 18-15, and then I didn't do so hot in the last stretch here. So 18-15, right? So I went 1-1 in games 33 and 34. So that made it 19-16. Then I went 0-2 on Saturday, which makes it 19-18. Then I went in the last bowl games. I went 21-20 in the 40 bowl. Wait, 21-20. That makes no sense. So I went 20-21 or 20-19. Yeah, that's right. 20-19. I miscounted. And then counting the semifinals, I went 22-19. So far I'm above average. So I'm doing okay. I'm doing okay with the bowl season. So 22-19. Let me know what y'all did in the bowl records. I really do think that this is going to be a fantastic college football championship, national championship. I don't know what's going to happen. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. And let me know who you got in the national championship and how much. And tell me y'all scores. Tell me y'all scores too. I really do want to see y'all scores as well. So if you got Georgia by +20, put it in the comments. If you got TCU by 3, put it in the comments. It doesn't matter. Just let me know who you got in the comments section. And let me know what y'all have. And we'll go over the offseason the week after. So I look forward to covering this game later this week. But I have to make a decision quickly because, a lot's on the line here. And I really appreciate those that have followed and supported the PMP throughout this season. This is the first full season that we have done for the PMP. And I am super proud that we made it throughout the year, starting from the very first podcast back in January of last season to the draft special, to the Booby Miles interview. Shout out to Booby Miles, to the Eric Martin interview. Shout out to Coach Eric Martin. K-Dub performance has been spectacular when he is able to come on. Shout out to you, my friend. Hopefully you come on for tomorrow's podcast as well. And for you guys that are supporting and actually responding to my takes, when I say I told y'all so, I don't mean it in a disrespectful manner. I'm being playful when I do this. I'm just very toxic when I do it. So don't take it too hard when I say, I told you so, I told you so. Just realize that I'm being an asshole. I am an asshole by heart, and I'm not proud of it either. So just know that I am just a very passionate college football fan, and I think I know what I'm talking about. I think I know more than what Dan Orlovsky or any of those ESPN idiots have to say. So thank you guys for watching tonight. I know I went way over than what I wanted tonight out of the PMP tonight, but man, college football season's almost over. And I had to talk about the national championship a little bit. And let me know who you got between TCU and Georgia. National championship, LA, Monday, January 9th, 20 days before my birthday. I will do a birthday podcast as well. And shout out to those that have supported me since day one, since the PMP first started. Not the revamped, but from the very, very, very beginning. I appreciate you guys. I love y'all so much. And for you future PMP members, welcome. And I hope you enjoy this content because I want to bring the best out of the PMP because we are the greatest football podcast on YouTube in all of college football. Joe Clapp, we got some competition, buddy, between me and you. I hope that everybody had a wonderful holiday season. I hope they had a wonderful bowl season. And I hope everybody enjoyed this football season. This season is fantastic, and I cannot wait to cover off season. And I can't wait to cover this national championship game. This is a tremendous national championship, and we are the PMP. Goodbye. Good night. Bang.
Hey, pipe up, Rich.
Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. My chopper hit, my chopper hit, my 40 hit, my 40 hit. I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip, I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip. I got sauce, I got flavor, getting all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor, getting all this paper. Plain Jane Paddock on my motherfucking wrist. They notice every time when I walk up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch, keep my clock up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch, keep my clock up in this bitch. My chopper hit, my chopper hit, my 40 hit, my 40 hit. I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip, I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. This shit is exciting. Do it with the right team. My style, they biting. I'm striking like lightning. I'm bagging these bitch. I'm talking my shit. I'm bagging these bitch. I'm talking my shit. I'm about to get on your ass. I'ma just count me some cash. I'm about to get on your ass. I'ma just count me some cash. Doing something different, man. I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck.